Hello, this is Spellbinder. I just came across this today. I just ran across it. It was an interview on Red Ice UK radio of Rik Clay, who apparently was a 26-year-old guitarist, singer of a band. I'm not really sure what the band was, but he was a creative artist, and he came on the show to talk about what was going to happen in the London Olympics in 2012, because that's where they're going to have the Olympics that time, and it's in 2012. He died just before August the 8th of 2008, and he was on the show telling what was going to come down the pike at us about a fake alien invasion upon the people of the Earth. And it was to be fake, using Project Bluebeam. He talks a lot like Jordan Maxwell. And, Jordan Maxwell is not a fake. He's doing this on his own research also. It's unfortunate. It sounds like that Rik Clay couldn't handle the information or assimilate it properly, and it got to him, and he committed suicide. And that's questionable in itself. London Zion 2012. Are you ready for the grand illusion? And here's the contest. This is off Scribe. I'll have a link to this also, so you can go through all the information that he covered in that radio interview. But the radio interview is just awesome. You got to hear it. And he covers everything, explain the Olympics porn, the ex-Olympics, what does all this mean, the unveiled mother goddess, the son Horus, father, Trinity, and the occult. He talks about the roads and the locations of the ley line, conclusions. He goes through all this stuff. Well, now I'm going to take you to part 4 of this interview and then take you to part 5. I may let part 5 run all the way through because he talks about the automatum about controlling your food and taking away the food, and that's by Iron R. Crane, is the one who reports to this radio program, Radio Now, That's Weird, as named that UK program. And here's this now. Listen.
But I mean, I'm going to be perhaps a little bit dispassionate in my observation of comments because I don't want this to become too emotional. But I mean, I first introduced the prospect of the false flag alien invasion at a talk I gave in Glastonbury, ironically, in July of 2007. Now, to the best of my knowledge, that's the first time that this prospect had been sort of introduced into the public arena. With a young man in the audience that day, a young man called Rik Clay, and unbeknown to me, this presentation I gave, which titled "Fool Me Once," the presentation I gave, where I introduced all the history about false flag and looking at how false flag would most likely be used as the final step to establish the one world government, and that final step would be a false flag alien invasion launched at the London Olympics. Well, Rik went away from that event and obviously did his own research, and I guess it was about May of this year, he launched a blog. And there's no question. I mean, he had come up with some very, very interesting insights to support my conjecture of the possibility of the false flag alien invasion. And I mean, it was almost a bit like a download. I mean, it was a bit absent. There wasn't a lot of connectivity between the point he was making. I mean, it was almost as though he'd suddenly had these remarkable insights and just decided that he needed to share them. So the blog was up for probably a couple of months or so, and then he did a couple of interviews. Sure, he did an interview on a Red Ice Creations show. And see, from that, I mean, he attracted a lot of interest. But then, very suddenly, his blog disappeared, and there was a lot of speculation on various forums as to what happened and had he been warned off, had he close to the truth, etc., etc., etc. Well, this story unfortunately ends in tragedy because just this morning I was tipped off by an anonymous email that Rik had actually taken his own life. and in fact he was cremated earlier today. Now there's a lot of speculation going on right now as to what actually transpired, and we obviously don't know. I mean, I have been shown a link to a note that was apparently written by his mother prior to his death, and another one that was written shortly after. It's very evident that Rik was quite ill, but he was his family, and he was probably where to be at that time. But the speculation and conjecture that his death is suspicious is, in my opinion, most likely ill-founded. I mean, I do not suspect any foul play here at all. What I do suspect, and I have taken another long look at Rik's blog today. Now, Rik was a young man, 26, I think. And I look at what he was putting up on the blogs, and the style of which he's presented that information. It's not dissimilar. The tens of notebooks that I have from, when I was, if you like, going through my own awakening process. I was tapping into who knows what, but, I was getting a lot of information that I didn't know what to do with. It didn't necessarily make a great deal of sense, but, I knew it was, well, first thing, and secondly, it might be something that I needed to follow up on later. So at the time, I was just putting notebooks, and I mean, I did this for about 3 years, because I had no idea, what this stuff meant, and, I knew it wasn't complete. I knew there was going to be more work that was going to be necessary to, bring it in some kind of meaningful presence. Well, I think that, what happened here is that, Rik had these phenomenal insights, and because of his youth, perhaps wasn't able to integrate the experience. And I think, perhaps has occurred here is an illustration that, when you start to become aware of what is really going on behind the charade that we are presented with as life in the Western world, it is a shock. It's a shock to the system.
It is. Ian R. Crane, and we were talking about Rik Clay there just before the break, and there's just a little bit more on that you wanted to say.
Well, just to say, I mean, obviously, sure everyone would join me in sending condolences to family. I mean, it's obviously a very difficult time. But, out of every tragedy, and I think that, we have to start to become more aware that as the veil gets thinner, more people are going to start to have this sudden awareness, this awakening, seeing through the veil. More and more people are going to start thinking they're the Messiah as they sort of integrate these experiences. What's important is that, instead of to debate whether or not there's something untoward of death, we actually start to discuss ways in which we can be mutually supportive of each other as people, family, friends, awakening experience.
Absolutely. And our hearts do go out to his family. Terrible thing.
Indeed.
Right, let's move to Codex Alimentarius. Now, this is the one thing that they don't want the world to know about. They're quite happy, but he does know about it. What's going on with it?
What's going on? Well, we're wrapping towards December 31st, 2000, where the next tranche of legislation kicks in Europe. Codex Alimentarius simply means food code. It's a global food code. It's been in the making for nearly 50 years. It's been going the scenes, and fundamentally what it means is that there is an agenda, and it's an agenda that's rapidly advancing, which is ostensibly to completely down organic and all other natural farming, and also to employ the complementary and alternative health industry.
There you go. So I'm going to play that. I'm going to want to get this up. But I'll have all the links to everything that you just heard about Rik Clay. And you'll be able to watch the YouTube videos also. There's 9 of them in the series. And they're not seem to be by the same author, so you have to jump through maybe on your right where it has a list of other videos to get 8, 9, and then you'll get the whole thing. But they're basically a copy of it. I'm not sure why the original didn't continue it all the way up through 9. Missed 8 somehow. Until next time, it's Spellbinder with some very fascinating information about the 2012 Olympics and the possible false flag UFO invasion on the Earth. Plus that maybe the movie 2012, as I said in the previous video, that maybe 2012, the movie, is just another way of telling you before it happens. Because they know that everybody's going to watch that and their mental minds are going to make it happen. And they're going to have the arcs ready and they're going to jump in their little arcs with everything they need to survive it. And we all go bye-bye. Well, that's the theory of 2012, is a rapid wave function getting quicker and quicker and quicker. I mean, terrorists talked about the same thing. He talked about how we're going into a faster and faster and faster wave. Every year is getting shorter and shorter. And you can see that. It seems like years go by within days. I mean, time's getting shorter and shorter. Because we're getting closer to the galactic center. As our solar system passes through the galactic center of the galaxy, the wave center energies are going to cause a lot of strangeness. And if you're not aware that you're being fooled by these elitists, you're going to have to come back here. Otherwise, you're advanced to the next level, the 4th density or the 5th density, maybe even the 6th, if you're lucky. And we'll leave the 3rd density behind. Well, until next time, Spellbinder. Be good at it. Do your research. Good day.